Have you ever had a neighbor from hell? You know the type. They blast music at 3 in the morning, let their dog turn your lawn into a minefield, and treat every common space like their personal dumpster. You try talking to them, you try reasoning, but they just laugh in your face. It feels hopeless, right? But what if I told you there's a way to reclaim your peace without ever raising your voice or breaking a single law? What if you could convince them to move out, all on their own? Let's dive into the story that inspired this. A friend of mine had neighbors who were the absolute worst. Parties until dawn, shouting matches in the driveway, the whole 9 yards. When my friend complained, they just turned the music up louder. So he decided to start what he called a subliminal campaign. It was brilliant. He found out they hated the smell of lavender. So every time they left the house, he'd walk by and spritz a little lavender essential oil spray near their front door and windows. Not on their property, just in the air. When they'd come home, the faint smell would hit them, and they couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Next, he moved on to sound. He bought a small, high-frequency sound emitter online. It's a device that plays a sound so high-pitched that most adult humans can't hear it, but it's incredibly annoying to dogs and sometimes younger people. He'd turn it on for an hour or two every night, pointed towards their house. Their dog, which used to bark all the time, started whining and acting strangely, but only at night. The neighbors were baffled. They took the dog to the vet, who found nothing wrong. These were the first steps in a masterful plan of psychological warfare, using what we call invisible pressure. It's about creating a series of small, unprovable annoyances that slowly chip away at someone's sense of comfort and sanity. Unlike a direct, visible conflict like yelling or calling the police, which often just escalates the situation and paints you as the difficult one, invisible pressure makes them question their own reality. They feel like something is wrong, but they can't point a finger at you. This leads us to the core technique, the haunted house effect. My friend's goal was to make his neighbors believe their own home was turning against them. The weird smells they couldn't trace, the strange noises only their dog seemed to hear. He was creating an environment of constant, low-level stress. They started arguing with each other. Did you smell that? No, you're crazy. Why is the dog acting so weird? I don't know. Maybe this house is just off. He didn't stop there. He also started a campaign of social isolation. Now, this requires a bit of finesse. You don't want to be seen as the neighborhood gossip. Instead, you build alliances. My friend was already on good terms with the other neighbors. When he'd see them, he'd casually mention, "Did you guys hear all that noise from number 12 last night? I'm so exhausted." He wasn't complaining aggressively. He was sharing a common grievance. Soon, the other neighbors started noticing more. The problematic neighbors found themselves getting cold shoulders. No more friendly waves. No more casual chats over the fence. When you feel like you're living in a haunted house and all your neighbors secretly dislike you, your home stops being a sanctuary. It becomes a prison. Think about the difference. If you have a loud argument with your neighbor, it's a single, explosive event. They might get angry, you might get angry, and then you both go back to your houses and stew. But if your life is filled with tiny, inexplicable irritations day in and day out, it's a completely different kind of mental burden. It's a slow burn. The unprovable nature of it all is the key. They can't call the cops and say, "I think my neighbor is making my house smell faintly of lavender." They'd sound insane. They can't prove you're the source of the high-frequency noise. This is why invisible pressure is so devastatingly effective. It bypasses direct confrontation and attacks the one thing a neighbor from hell relies on: their sense of entitlement and control. They're used to being the ones causing the problems, the ones with all the power. When they start feeling powerless against an unseen force, they crumble. My friend kept this up for about 3 months. The lavender, the high-frequency sound, the subtle social isolation. The final straw was when he noticed a for sale sign going up on their lawn. He saw them loading up the moving truck and asked, "Oh, you're moving?" The neighbor looked exhausted and said, "Yeah, we've had enough of this place. The whole neighborhood is weird, and I swear this house is haunted. We're getting out of here." My friend didn't break a single law. He didn't damage any property. He didn't even have another angry conversation with them. He just created an environment so subtly uncomfortable that they chose to leave on their own. He played the long game and won his peace and quiet back. Now, before you go out and buy a gallon of lavender oil, a word of caution. This is a delicate art. The goal is to be a ghost, not a menace. Everything you do must be subtle, deniable, and legal. You're not trying to harass them in a way that can be reported. You're simply making their chosen home feel less like a home. You nudging them toward a conclusion they come to on their own. It's time to move. So, if you're stuck in a similar situation, remember the power of invisible pressure. Think creatively. What are the small, unprovable things you can do? Maybe it's a motion-activated sprinkler that accidentally goes off near their path. Maybe it's learning to play the bagpipes, but only for 10 minutes a day, at a perfectly legal hour. The possibilities are endless. The key is to make them feel like the problem isn't you, it's the house, the neighborhood, or their own sanity. What do you think? Have you ever dealt with a neighbor from hell? Let me know your own stories and creative solutions in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the art of psychological neighborhood warfare, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.